What's up, everybody? Back out here on the range today. Just wanted to go over my philosophy of why I carry a red dot, maybe some reasons you should consider carrying one, or maybe this will back up your reasons not to carry one. But this is just my opinion. Why should you listen to me? Well, you shouldn't. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. Do with it what you will. Take it with a grain of salt and do what's best for you. Figure that out for yourself. But anyway, let's jump right into it. But first, a word from our sponsor. Do you want to build a stockpile of ammo for when the Schumer hits the fan? Do you ever wish ammo accumulation was easy and automatic? Ammo Squared makes stocking up on ammunition a breeze. They simplify and automate the process so you always have ammunition piling up in your stockpile. Everything over $250 ships for free. I'll trigger them to ship once I hit that $250 threshold. If you spend $20 in 1 month, that's only $5 a week, you will receive $25 in free ammo credit, and I will receive $25 in free ammo credit. Check out my link in the description down below and sign up with Ammo Squared. Okay, let's jump right into it. I want to hit this kind of a cons and then a pros approach. So disadvantage number one for why I think red dots, you might not consider one. Your battery can die. You can have mechanical or electrical failure. I have not had an issue with this with a quality red dot since about 2018. I had the Holo7 507C version 1, and it just abruptly stopped on me. Now, Holosun treated me really good on that. I didn't even buy it from an authorized dealer. I bought it at a gun show, and I believe I bought it used. They still chose to replace it and immediately sent me the version 2 where that problem's been fixed. And I've had this one since 2018 with 0 issues other than batteries dying. That being said, the batteries do last a really long time. I can't remember how many tens of thousands of hours they last in this, but with the solar failsafe on this particular dot, it lasts a good long time. I still like to replace my dots twice a year or something like that. Every 6 months doesn't hurt a thing, and it costs you like 12 bucks a year or something. It's not that big of a deal. Disadvantage number 2, potential zero loss. I have also not had a problem with that with the RMRs that I've had, with the Holosuns that I've had. I have had that issue with a cheap knockoff EOTech that was meant for airsoft that came off of Amazon. To be expected from a $30 or $40 dot. I mean, like, come on, what else would you expect? But I have not had that issue with this, but it is possible. Con number 3, they are susceptible to the elements somewhat. You have a LED, I believe it's an LED emitter inside of here that puts the image onto the screen for you to be able to see. And if wind, dirt, dust, lint, water, rain, whatever, gets inside of there and covers that emitter up, well, it could occlude your dot on your window. It's kind of an easy fix to get something back anyway. Blow on it. It's not that big of a deal. That being said, your backup iron sights need to be co-witnessed through your window so that if your dot goes down, you still have a way to be able to aim. That's fairly simple. Con number 4, you either have the dot in your window or you don't. So it's kind of an all or nothing thing. It takes a good bit of practice to be able to present your gun, find your dot quickly, and not be sitting there, fishing around for, well, where's it at? That sort of thing. That kind of leads us right into con number 5, or disadvantage number 5. Maybe it's not really a con. There's a learning curve to all of it, but there's probably maybe a little bit bigger learning curve with learning to use a red dot over using irons. And it just takes practice, takes dry fire. Now, that kind of leads me right into advantage number 1, and that is faster sight acquisition. Once you get that figured out to where you can present and find that dot quickly, it's faster than irons, in my opinion. And so before you say, oh, bro, I presented the gun, I pointed the gun at this gun store and couldn't find the dot, so it can't be any faster. Well, you need to dry fire at least 1,000 times, in my opinion, before you make the decision that the dot's not for you, because you're going to suck at it at the very beginning. It's going to take some time before you get used to it, but once you do, in my opinion, I love it, and you probably will too. While you're learning to find your dot, if you line your irons up as you're presenting, if you can watch your front sight and get it lined up, your dot will be there, and eventually you won't have to consciously line these irons up. It'll just be there when you present. So that's advantage number 1, faster sight acquisition. Advantage number 2, and this is a big one, accuracy and shooting at distance. it makes precise shots much easier than shooting with irons, because especially let's compare it to something everybody generally hates: stock Glock sights. You got the big old white dots. That big old white dot covers up so much of your target area that, especially at distance, that you can't be really precise. Well, with this particular reticle that's on this dot, I can either do one dot or a circle dot. I like the circle with a dot in the middle, kind of reminiscent of an EOTech reticle. That dot in the middle is so small and precise that it's really easy to make precision shots. I was shooting 50 yards earlier like it was nothing. I shoot 100 yards fairly common, and it's pretty easy as well. I can't do it nearly as easy with iron sights. This is 25 yards. Let's take it back to distance, and I'll show you what's possible. That's a reduced torso target. The head on it is about this wide. We'll take it back to 50, make some hits. We'll take it back to 100 and see if we can still make some hits, and I'll show you what's capable with a red dot and a little bit of practice. All right, I jumped in the truck, got the rangefinder here. I need my truck to prop the tripod up on, so we'll back it up to 50 instead of just walking back there. I'll just shoot out the truck window. How about that? See what we got right here. We're about 55 right here. Good enough. Let me square the truck up. Maybe you can see out the window with me. All right, so the barrel right there where I normally set up is at about 30 yards from where I'm at. It's 25 yards past the barrel to the target, which is, it's right there in the center. It's a long ways already, 50 yards. All right, 50 yards. Three for three at 50. Now I'll show you this with my wife's cute little 43X as well. One in there. I might get lucky and hit one, but what's been my experience back here at 50 with this little shorty and with no iron, no red dot, is I'll be aiming at the center torso target, and I've got two pig-shaped targets on either side, and I'll hit the left or the right target more often than I'll hit the center one. And most of the time, it's just straight up misses all the way from back here. There was a center target. Miss. That was the left side target. Now back here, this front sight is completely occluding that torso target up there at 50 yards. It's already completely covered it up. So it's just kind of a hope and a prayer without that really precise thin dot. That was the left side target, aiming at the center one again. Miss. Miss. It's just not as consistent or as easy, guys. Let's take it back to 100 and we'll do it again. Use the rangefinder. That way, that way I'm not cheating you guys out of knowing where I'm at. I guess you're not seeing what the rangefinder's showing either, but you just have to trust me. I'm not out here to get a name for myself by shooting 10 yards and calling it 100. So now that barrel is right there, and the target is another 25 yards past it. Let's see what we can do. I don't know that I'm 100. Let me check with the rangefinder. Oh my cow, that's so perfect. 75 to the barrel from right here. So I can't hardly even see the target, but if I'm 75 to the barrel, then I'm 100 to the target. I may have to get on top of the truck. Let's go get on the truck so I can see. Ooh, that's hot up there. So my target has not been painted. It's gray. It's hard to see from here. I think I'm gonna take my glasses off so I can see a little better. But this is 100 yards. Hopefully you can hear the ring of the target from here. Hard to tell. There's a hit. So I had 2 misses so far. It is really hard to see from back here without that thing being lit up. It just blends right into that grass. There's another one. There's another one. That's 100 yards, folks. I'm not the greatest shooter in the world. I'm far, far from it. But I would venture to say virtually impossible on that target with what I can see of it with iron sights. Even with these thinner fiber optic sights that are more visible, a little smaller than the big white dot of the stock Glock sights, it is the dot 100% that makes this not an easy shot, but an easier shot. That is one of the things I think you should consider if you're thinking about getting the dot for your pistol. Advantage number 3, shooting on the move or shooting moving targets. It's easier to track one object in this window, the object being the dot, than it is to track rear sights and front sights on a moving target, or let's say while you're moving. It's a whole lot easier to watch that dot than it is to watch 2 sets of sights, or you know what I'm saying, a rear sight and a front sight. Advantage number 4 is kind of right along the lines of advantage 3. Target transitioning. It is just simply easier to follow your dot, which technically isn't how you should do it. Your eyes should flick and then the gun follows, rather than you staying inside of rather than keeping the dot in your vision and transitioning. It should be boom, your eyes flick over and you bring it and stop right on the target. But it's just a lot faster with a dot, in my opinion. Advantage number 5, low light conditions. So even with night sights, they're just not as easy to see as these red dots are, or green dot, or whatever you prefer. I prefer a red. But especially if you're shooting Glock sights or you know, regular stock sights that are not glow-in-the-dark sights, tritium or whatever, you're just not going to see your sights to be able to line them properly in the dark. If you're shooting with a dot, it's just bright and obvious. Sometimes too obvious. And that gets us kind of into one of the features that's on a lot of dots these days, and that is an automatic brightness setting. I love it and I hate it. I generally run mine on a manual setting. Reason being that I would rather deal with the dot being too bright than not having enough and not being able to see it. So I kind of just suck it up, buttercup, and deal with that bright dot in the dark. It's not really that big of a deal with this dot to reach up and tap the minus button if I wanted it down some. In the heat of an emergency, though, that's probably unlikely. So you kind of just got to pick your poison. Do you want it on the automatic setting? The reason I don't like it on the automatic setting too much is because, let's say I am in a dark room and I am aiming into a lit room. The sensor on here is picking up light in the dark room and it has dimmed my dot way down. Well, the light in that lit room is washing out my dot and I can't see it. That's kind of why I like to have just a manual setting where it's just bright all the time. It's a little too bright in the dark, but I don't have to turn it up in the daylight or whatever. It's just, I just deal with it. Bright all the time. Usually I'm like one setting down from the brightest one. So anyway, low light conditions is one of the great advantages of a red dot on your pistol. Advantage number 6, and I think this is the biggest reason, is that you can be threat focused instead of sight focused. With iron sights, you've got to focus on the threat, identify that threat, point your irons at it, and then you're supposed to focus on your front sight. And in your vision, the target kind of becomes blurry because your vision has shifted, the focus of your vision has shifted to this front sight. With red dots, that's not the case at all. You just focus on the target. You don't have, when I say focus, think of it as like a camera where you can manually change the focus, blurry, not blurry, whatever. With a red dot, all you have to do is look at the target, superimpose your dot over the top of the target, and that's it. There's no change of focus with the way that you sight and shoot, you know, with your sight picture and everything. Do you really think it's realistic for you to be able to be focusing on something that is coming at you, trying to kill you? If it's this close, you know, it's not that big of a deal. You almost don't even need to aim. But in the heat of the moment, when adrenaline's rushing, are you gonna be able to take your eyes off of the threat, off of something that's trying to kill you, and put it on this? It's unlikely. I know that people's used irons for many years now, but it's just easier and simpler to stay focused on the threat rather than have to shift focus and look at this dot. So what do you guys think? I think the advantages outweigh the cons. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.